Hi, my name is Robert Chelle with Chelle Law, and my firm assists physicians with employment contract issues. Came in early on a Sunday morning, figured what better way to start the day than produce some content, knock out a few videos. There was one thing that came up this week that I discussed with one of my physicians that I was reviewing their contract, and I thought it'd be a good idea for a video. They were coming out of training, and they asked, can a physician sign multiple letters of intent? So let's just break down what a letter of intent is. So a letter of intent, it's also known as an offer letter, is simply a document provided to a physician that kind of basic terms are reached. And then after that, the employer would then provide them with an employment agreement. I find most smaller physician practices kind of skip the letter of intent or offer letter and just go straight to sending the physician an employment contract. But some of the hospitals and healthcare networks require a signed letter of intent prior to giving the physician the employment agreement. So in this case, when a physician is in training, that's normally, so either, coming out of residency or fellowship, that's the time where they're kind of entertaining multiple opportunities. They're just in a unique position where many employers are coming to them. So either through job fairs or recruiters or, just kind of general advertisements. And so that's when in their career, they are kind of weighing multiple job opportunities. Normally, if a physician's been out for 10 years, if they're going to leave an employer, they're leaving for like a specific opportunity in mind. They're not, kind of entertaining 4 or 5 separate offers. So in this case, let's say we have a physician in training. They're going to have a ton of different opportunities available to them. And the timing of it is kind of what's important here. So many people in training obviously want to sign with an employer well in advance of when they're done. So it's not uncommon to have a contract a year, sometimes even 2 years in advance of the physician completing their training. So when I have a physician come to me and say, hey, I have one offer, kind of want to sign the letter of intent, but not 100% sure I want to follow through with the employment agreement. So if I have multiple opportunities, is it okay to sign multiple letters of intent without signing the employment agreement? Well, for the most part, a letter of intent is not binding. Really, the only time a letter of intent may be binding is in academia. Some of the universities will use a letter of intent kind of as the employment agreement as well. And then it refers out to dozens of different documents. So if you're in, just signing with a network, hospital, physician-owned practice, things like that, the letter of intent is very likely not going to be binding. So if you sign a letter of intent and then sign another letter of intent, are you stuck to both jobs? No, obviously not. Until you execute, meaning sign the employment agreement, generally it is not binding. So is it a good idea to sign multiple letters of intent? Well, I guess that depends whether the physician cares about burning bridges or not. If a physician signs with an employer, and when I say signs, I mean signs the letter of intent with an employer, and then maybe the employer says, we'll get you the employment agreement, in a couple months when you get closer to when you're going to graduate. Well, they are going to stop recruiting at that point. So if they have a physician with a signed offer letter, they're not going to continue looking to fill that position. So maybe they'll tell that if they are, let's say they hired a physician recruiter to go out and try to find a candidate, those recruiting activities will stop. It's possible that the employer will have already started credentialing with the insurance companies, which can take some time depending upon what state you're in. So they've already expended some resources, they've paid some money, expecting the physician to come in. And so doing that and then having a physician contact them and say, you know what, I appreciate it, decided to go a different direction. That employer is going to be most likely upset, right? They've spent some time and money because they have kind of the agreement that the physician is going to come, and then that physician backs out. And then not only have they paid out those costs that I just talked about, but now they got to restart everything and find somebody else. So that physician will likely be pretty mad that you're backing out. And it's very unlikely in the future, if you wanted to go back to them, that would be an opportunity. Now, if you have some kind of family circumstance, health issue, something that just, completely prohibits you from moving forward with that job at that time, most employers will totally understand. Maybe there's, someone's family member is just, something happened to them and they just can't move away, or I don't know, some change in where they want to practice due to a family concern. I mean, there's dozens of things it could be why someone doesn't want to move forward with the job. But if it's not just completely, kind of money-based, meaning, well, I signed with you, but then this employer is going to give me $50,000 more, so I'm definitely going to go with them. If it's more personal, most employers are completely understanding, and there's not going to be a problem. But if it's not, then yes, a bridge will likely be burned. So I don't tell any of my physicians that I'm working with to sign multiple letters of intent and then kind of, let it shake out once they get the employment agreements. I think that's just a bad practice. And, if you're in the same, like, let's say you have signed two letters of intent in the same city, then you back out of one, move forward with the other. Most communities are fairly small, especially, in a specialty, and most everyone, knows other people. I mean, obviously in like primary care, you're not going to know every person in the city, but in some of the smaller specialties, everyone in the city. And so word gets out. And so if bad blood can spill over, and no physician wants to deal with that just starting out their career. So yes, you can sign multiple letters of intent. Shouldn't do it. It's a bad idea, in my opinion. And it can cause some friction that's just completely unnecessary. Unless you are 100% sure that you want to move forward with the job, I would not sign the letter of intent. Now, there are situations where you sign the letter of intent, then you get the employment contract, and the language in the employment contract makes the job opportunity, much less desirable. In those circumstances, feel free to back out of the offer letter. Many times, the basic terms in the offer letter look great. Get into the agreement. The language is, very lopsided towards the employer, can make a job opportunity absolutely not worth it. So in that scenario, completely fine. But if you're just kind of shopping for the best offer, sign a bunch of offer letters, don't sign the agreements. I just think that's a bad idea. If you have any questions, you can contact my firm at the phone number listed below in the description, or you can always reach us through our website, chellelaw.com. That's CHELLE law.com. I appreciate you watching the video. Thanks.